fishes, crabs and other things, they get spoiled and they are killed. And if some of them are survive, the people fish it and we also eat. So all these get accumulated. That's called biomagnification process. I am Dr. Ramesh BN. I am working as a scientist at University of Agriculture Sciences, Bangalore. Basically, to increase the food production, during 1960s, we were importing food from America actually. To increase the food production, to feed the increasing population, farmers has to use the chemicals to increase production and high yielding varieties. Whenever we say high yielding varieties need high nutrients. So that time we imported chemicals for fertilizers, and so now we could able to increase the yield because of that actually. So use of especially pesticides will have impact on health, because excessive use of pesticides will also leaches to food. So it goes to the water, we consume water, we eat fish that is grown in a contaminated water, and that results we call a biomagnification. Biomagnification means build-up of pesticide content. See, so and we consume that fish and other marine products where there is a lot of pesticides. That actually now research has shown that those causes the cancer. Actually, when we say chemical fertilizers are they are actually required. Chemical fertilizers excessive use, if they use in a correct proportion, no issue, that is required. It is just like what we eat, what we want to eat. I mean, as human beings we eat. The plant also need nutrients, that is proteins, carbohydrates, everything they need as human beings. So anything that is consumed in excess and in the straight chemical form, so it's a problem. So whereas there are other ways, like organic manures, if they use, there will be less problem. Actually, one can go for growing green manure crops, that is plants growing on the field itself and then incorporating them, and they can use cow dung to make farmyard manure. Okay, the farmer can rear these animals, or there are now commercially people are making this compost, vermi compost, and the whatever the waste that is available in the agriculture field, they degrade it. That's all called waste, and this waste from the corporation. Now it is a big business actually happening, and enough quantity of these organic alternative forms of menus are available in the country and in Karnataka. So people can make use of it, so that soil health also improves and human health also improves. Now farmers are already aware about these farming practices, because I have also come from the farming family, and we used to use enough green green leaves during making compost actually. So we used to use this cow dung and the green leaf, and also mix some soil, and we used to do. Farming community in rural areas are aware of making farmyard manure already, but what is happening in cities, even in cities also, so we can distribute a a container which is which can fill their domestic waste, like food waste and vegetable waste and fruit waste, and they can keep it in a bin. So that bin, if we give some biodegradable bacteria or a culture where it can degrade faster, and that compost can be used by the people living in the city, where they can make some gardening or put it into pot where they grow these flowering plants and other things. Even indoor plants they can put it, or they can even sell it to other people. The thing is now, as we rightly mentioned, uh, at the global level, at the national level, we are now producing enough food now with the use of chemical fertilizers. Immediately, if you completely withdraw chemical fertilizers and pesticides, it may be difficult to maintain the production level. What we can educate is you can start slowly withdrawing from using the chemical fertilizers and start increasing the use of organic manures, so that no drastic reduction in the yield also happens. So that we have to maintain the yield level as well, because we are consuming now, say for example 1 kg of food for everybody is getting. If you start using organic only and if you don't increase the yield, we may have to consume 250 grams. I mean, say for example. So to avoid that, what we can do, we can ask them to use 50% of the inorganic, that is chemical, and 50% organic. Slowly, we can increase the organic manure use and reduce the chemical use. There is a country, I mean, sorry, state in northeast, completely now they grow organically. That state is called organic state. So, and also there are farmers in Tumkur and also in Kolar and many other places where they completely grow organically. And there are many NGOs they are supporting, and also there are organic. Our institute also, we have a center of excellence in organic farming, where we promote organic farming. Yeah, GKVK has Center of Excellence in Organic Farming, where we educate how to make manures, and how to use the alternative sources of organic, manures and other. We spray on the crop. So all that, though we most of the time we spray excess. Now there's one concept that most of the farmers don't do is they don't analyze how much of the nutrient is required by the plant, because we have to analyze the soil. We need to test the soil, okay, for the presence of nutrients. And there are major nutrients: nitrogen, phosphorus, potash, okay. So what farmers do initially, they should test, like we go to doctor and test what's the problem. What farmers are not doing is they are not testing the soil. They are simply applying. Most of the time, my point is, we add excessively than what plant is required. So then that whenever whenever the rainfall, it leaches into rivers. Okay. So whenever it leaches into rivers, as I said, aquatic forms, fishes, crabs, and other things, they get spoiled and they are killed. And if some of them are survive, the people fish it, and we also eat. So all these get accumulated. That's called biomagnification process. So when we consume water, it will be there. Animals drink water, and we get milk from them. We get meat. Fish will drink that water or the food that is. We eat fish. So that's the problem. And same water is used for the cultivation again. Again we eat in the crop, in the form of crop. All that is a problem. Actually, government of Karnataka, as I'm aware that it is promoting organic farming, but not to the larger extent. To the smaller extent, they're supporting organic farming, and they're promoting organic farming. Yeah, that is for government policies. Again, what required is we should have a process to identify the organic farming, product from organic farming, proper testing. Because I say that I have grown in organic farming field where I have not applied pesticides, I have not applied chemical fertilizers. So how to differentiate a produce from organic farm and inorganic, that chemical farm? So a proper there are centers available, but there is a more need for them to establish the testing to confirm the organic farming product, and also more trainings, more education, and subsidies for organic farmers. If they implement, I think that will promote or encourage farmers going forward, because we know in organic farming it is sure that It is not, we don't get that much yield in comparison with the chemical fertilizer use. So farmers and we get, definitely we get less yield. So then farmer will ask, so what is the benefit if I grow same land, everything is same, and the farmer using chemical fertilizer is getting more yield, I am getting less yield. So what is that I should get? So for government should give some subsidies to the farmer who is growing organic food. Honeybees and other insects involved in pollination. Um, so without pollination, without fertilization, no fruit, no food, no human beings. So if you use, we call indiscriminate use. There are pesticides which don't affect honeybees. We have to use, and there are pesticides derived from biological methods. Say there are pesticides from the plants itself. There are pesticides from insects actually. So those are very specific to insect and they don't affect the honeybees. There are pesticides available like that. So we have to use such pesticides. Number one. Number two, we have to use other method of controlling the insects, like cultivations. We use some, suppose if we grow some crop on the border, we use some other crop so that all the pests will go to the border crop and not affecting the main crop. So like that, there are many cultural methods available, physical methods, cultural methods are available, and biological methods are available. So for example, there is a insect which eat an other insect, very very specific. So it eats the insect which is eating the crop. Okay, so we can that is called natural enemies. We call natural enemies of the insect. So there are, these are different methods. That is cultural method and biological methods are there. Physical methods are there. If we use that, we can reduce the use of these chemical pesticides. All this comes under integrated pest management. So we have to adopt integrated pest management to control the pest. Then there will be less use of chemicals and less hazardous to honeybees, which are very important. I am telling, if there are no honeybees, no human beings on this earth. As simple as that. We had no option in 1960s but to adopt chemicals used or fertilizers used to increase the yield. Now we have enough food for the growing population. Our culture, Indian culture, our Indian traditions are very good and our practices are very rich, farming practices. As I said before that we are going back to ancient way of agriculture, like use of pesticides prepared from own plants. For example, we use cow dung and we use cow urine as a insecticide, pesticide property it has. So, but again, there are some technologies, for example, water saving technology from Israel. See, we have to accept one thing. There are, I am good, India is good in something, you are good in something, I am good in something. I think there is no problem as long as we don't affect, won't trouble our Indian tradition or Indian way of doing agriculture. But one thing I strongly believe, Israel, especially in water saving technology, water saving, because we know these days, even in India, the rainfall pattern is not that good actually. This year, especially in Karnataka, not much rains. So I think there is no problem if we use some technology which is not there in India and is going to benefit India, of course, not to destroy anything. But if it is good for everybody, if we are saving water, if we are getting some benefit to the farmers, yes, yeah, okay. But otherwise, there are so many technologies, traditional practices we did in India, we have in India to prevent the pests and the diseases and increase the yield. Even as I said, we are going back to ancient way of agriculture, where is a rich use of whatever the you know resources available with us, I think we are very rich and we can use chemical, I mean biological methods, other methods of controlling the disease and insects.